Today's episode of the Texas Toast Podcast is actually very unique and very special. As everyone knows, I love the baseball. We've got Luke Berryhill. Luke plays in our Triple-A Sugarland Space Cowboys team for the Astros. He has been invited to spring training. He also was invited to go record some of his music. He has a new radio release going out to Texas radio called Road to the Show. We're going to talk about all his music and baseball. You don't want to miss it.
Let's go.
Everyone knows about my love and passion for baseball, fishing, and Texas music. And this is like the dream interview for me. And I've been talking about you a lot. I want to welcome Luke Berryhill to the podcast. Luke, of course, you're a baseball player. You're a catcher. He's a Triple-A Sugarland Space Cowboys. And it's amazing, your story and your music. And so let me tell you how I first found you being the baseball girl. I caught the end of the MLB interview, and all I heard was them talking about a song that had dropped to streaming and your name. And I quickly wrote it down, pressed pause, immediately went to Road to the Show. And when I first heard your voice and the whole cold bus line coming up, I teared up and welled up. What a great song. And welcome to our Texas country family, because you are releasing that to Texas Country Radio. It is out. I've heard some good things from some of the radio programmers. So I know there's a story behind that song. So let's just start off with that.
Heck yeah. Well, that's quite an intro. I appreciate it. And thank you for having me on. I'm excited to be here. Yeah, so that was the story behind that song is kind of cool. At the end of 2021, I got shoulder surgery on my left shoulder for a torn labrum. And I'd say about 2 weeks after that, I was sitting in the hotel room down at our Florida facility for doing rehab on it. And, it was starting to sink in, like, okay, like I can't really do much for a while. And I started getting a little sad about it and all kind of stuff, started getting my feelings. And something hit me. I was like, some of the best songs ever written have been, when the person's a little down in the dumps, like their emotions just start coming out. And so I just started writing about my life as a baseball player. And it kind of just flowed out. I think I finished the song by myself in like 2 hours or something. I mean, it literally just came together like that. Of course, the last couple of years I've been like fine tuning it and everything here and there, but the bulk of the song was done. And yeah, I'm very happy with it and excited to see what happens with it.
I mean, it's like I've played it over and over. And once I got over the initial emotion, breaking bats, breaking bones, I mean, just the whole thing, I am like sending it out to everybody in my family because we're a baseball family, and then the adopted family. And I've even talked to some of our Texas artists that are baseball guys, and I bring you up all the time just to ask you this: who was the first person you played Road to the Show for?
It'd probably be my roommate at the time. That was so he was out of the room when I was writing it, but when he came back, I was like, hey, I think I might have something cool here. You're a baseball guy. See what you think. And he loved it as soon as off the rip. And then I was like, okay, maybe we have something here. And then I recorded a video of me singing it and sent it to my parents, and they immediately loved it. But I wasn't doing anything with music at the time, really. And so it kind of just, sat in my back pocket until, the music stuff started picking up. And I was like, okay, hey, maybe we could record this and release it. And that finally came to fruition.
I'm so glad it's out to Texas radio and everyone's going to get to enjoy that song. And I'll tell you what was my second exciting moment with this whole Luke Berryhill thing, since you've come into my life with baseball and music, is I got up one morning and I was answering some emails and I went on social media and I saw the post from Daryl Dodd. And that was where I found out it was being released to Texas radio. So Daryl wrote some just amazing words about you.
Yeah, I didn't know he was going to do that. That was very, very cool to read and very, very special. He's a great dude. Me and my dad have been getting to know him over the last few years, and just nothing but great things to say about him. Great artist. He's actually really the guy that got me into listening to Texas country. I had always been, a country fan, but I didn't really know how big the Texas circuit is, being from Georgia. And so I heard one of his songs one day and just fell in love with it. And just really took a deep dive, and yeah, so here we are.
I tell you, our whole Texas country industry and family, my background is radio. So I've been around the Texas music since it really first started getting radio airplay and we first came out with charts. But this is more about you than that. But that's why I don't know what it was when I listened to all of your music. I didn't just listen to Road to the Show, I listened to your other releases, and we're going to talk about those. It was like I was so hoping that you would get to Texas radio, and there it was. It was awesome. When you were in Corpus now, when you played there, did you ever have a chance to listen to some of the live music like at Brewster Street? Because a lot of the Texas artists play there.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. So they told us that Wade Bowen and Randy Rogers were playing at Brewster Street, and
Hello.
I'm big fans of both of those guys. And so luckily the game that night was very quick, and I got to jet over there. As soon as the game was over, they were just starting as soon as the game ended. So very, very happy about that. Got to hang out over there for a couple hours and just had a great time. That was really the only time I got to do that. There were some other people I wanted to see, like Cody Jinks and other
Mhm.
people that came to town, but we were playing on the road that week, so couldn't see them. But luckily, it lined up that night.
Yes, that's a great lineup. Okay, so what I find is interesting, of course, you played collegiate baseball at University of South Carolina, where you majored in sports and entertainment management. Is that
Hmm.
correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Was that planned? Was that about like, I mean, did you already know then that music would be a possibility once you did? I mean, like, I'm just trying to correlate these two paralleling each other. How awesome you're managing a baseball career and jumping into music.
Mm. Uh, Back then, I didn't really didn't really know what music was going to bring. I always knew I liked to sing, and I was learning guitar at the time and playing some gigs, but no, I didn't imagine it would start turning into something like legit. But God, looking back, God has a plan, and He lines stuff up beautifully. Just
Hmm.
it's incredible. Like just looking back, how things lined up like that. Like I didn't think, like I always was a sports guy, and so I was like, oh, sport management. Oh, they don't have sport management; they have sport and entertainment management, and like it's crazy things just lined up
There it
like
is.
that. So
Hmm.
yeah, just no, I didn't expect this. So
Well, let's talk about your music. I know that you debuted to streaming last July, Dance on It. I want to compliment you so much on your songwriting. I love the I'll two-step you right out of your mind while the steel's wearing out that pedal. So
yeah,
when you threw that out, when you put that out to streaming, tell me about the background and we'll get into your recording and production, but you wrote that one and put it out to streaming.
yeah, that was a cool one. I believe that was one of the first songs that I got a chance to be a part of writing when I went up to Nashville to start writing. Uh, and as soon as we had, I guess, the chorus down, everyone in the room just could not stop singing it. Like that was probably one of the longest writing sessions, just because we kept singing it over and over and over, and everyone was like, "Oh, love this song, love this song." But the song came together really quick. But yeah, that was. I'm glad we put that one out first, because the 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 Space Cowboys were very. Um, they had a big hand in promoting it for me, like putting things up on the screen and everything, having people save it. And even the Astros played at their stadium, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, putting that out, I got great feedback from that, and that's probably the one that people keep coming back to. They're like if someone sees me out in public, they'll be like, "If you want to dance," like just they'll start
Yes.
singing it to me. I think it's funny, but yeah, I'm happy with how that one turned out.
It's awesome. And
Yeah.
then another one. Okay, so I'm going through, and it's like this is where the songwriting like just got me because I look at the title of a song called "Ladies Man." Oh, what a beauty of a song!
Thank
Just
you.
to tell some of the lyrics. It's taking it from your future you, blue eyes in the third row pew, and thank the Lord that you're that ladies man. It's
Mm,
like that is an awesome song, and again, it's great songwriting.
thank you. Yeah, that was an idea that I had for probably 2 years at the time. I had tried to write it a couple times, and it just never panned out, but I knew it was a great idea. So I just kept at it. And I brought it up in a songwriting session in Nashville one day. And I guess we just had the right group of people in the room, and things were just rolling. Like I think it came together in like an hour or an hour and a half, which is incredibly fast. And I'm very happy with how that turned out. I knew that the double play on ladies was there was something there, and I'm glad I think we nailed it.
Yeah,
So
it was like, so I'm thinking, I'd listen. I think I'd listened to that one last because I'm listening to your music and I'm like, this should be interesting. Let me see what he did with this. And it's so clever and so great. Let's talk about how you came about getting the publishing deal. Let's talk a little bit about your time in Nashville and you actually signed with a publishing deal.
I did not sign with them
Okay.
actually, but might as well have.
You
Essentially
got
they
pulled in, you got invited in, kind of like getting invited to spring training. You got invited to go in.
exactly, yeah.
Yes.
So
Uh-huh.
yeah, I was in Corpus Christi in 2022, and the local newspaper, I believe, had done an article on me playing music and doing baseball. And so I guess that article just made its way um, by some chance to the computer of the owner of a publishing company called Banner Music in
Mhm.
Nashville. And as soon as she saw it, she was like, "Oh, that's very interesting." So she looked me up on Instagram and messaged me, and you know, just went from there. They invited me out to Nashville to start writing with their professional writers, and really learning how to write songs, with people that do it for a living. And they've been helping me every step of the way um, with literally everything, putting the music out, scheduling the songwriting sessions, helping me set up the studio and like rent, like paying the band and everything like that. So
Mhm.
I could not be more grateful for the help that they've given me. And they
That's
said that
awesome.
whenever I'm completely done with baseball, then we could talk about something more serious. So yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. What was it like for you the first time you went into the studio and actually started laying down and recording?
That was very, very cool. That's something I'll never forget. It was very obviously I was a little starstruck a little bit because like you're going in
Mhm.
like, okay, this is the first, like I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna give it my best, and everything went off without a hitch. It was cool to see the professional musicians just throwing a song together like that. Um,
Mhm.
I I had a recording of me playing my songs acoustically just so they could get the idea of the song. They wrote down some notes when they listened to it. And then within probably 15 minutes per song, they had everything perfect. It was absolutely amazing to just see something from nothing just blossom like that.
Have you ever wondered how artists like Treaty Oak Revival, Red Clay Strays, and Aaron Watson maintain the high quality and high demand for their merchandise? CH Lone Star Promo is the answer. Created in Texas to serve Texas artists, and they're currently offering 15% off on all merch orders from musicians. Visit chlonestarpromo.com to get started and tell them Texas Toast sent you.
I was reading the other day that it takes at least $1 million to break an artist. That's a ton of change, and it can feel overwhelming. But with social media leveling the playing field, you just need an effective strategy to release your music. Check out Release Rocket to ensure your single does not die after release day. You've already put time, effort, and tons of money into writing and recording your album. Let the guys at Release Rocket keep your new release alive.
And I know that, kind of going back to your background and your roots, I know that you grew up, your dad was a musician, your uncle, and I know they're probably so proud of you.
For sure. Yeah, my dad especially, yeah, I grew up going all over Georgia in the southeast to his concerts almost every weekend during the year, and I just fell in love with music at a very young age. And he's been my greatest supporter for sure. I can always talk to him about different things, whether it's on the business side or singing techniques, or bouncing
Hmm.
ideas
Hmm.
off him for songs, stuff like that. So very grateful for him. And yeah, my uncle, he's a great musician, great singer, songwriter. He's been doing it for years and years. So definitely have some good people in my corner to help me along.
Yeah, while we're talking on the subject of your dad, there is a song that you also have out called Any Less that was inspired by the story of your mom and your dad.
Yeah, that one was cool. I I don't even remember where I got the idea for that. I think I was talking to I don't know, honestly, but it was a few years ago. And as soon as the idea popped in my head, I was like, oh, I don't know, there's something there. If I told you any more, would you love me any less? I thought that was cool.
Yes.
And so, and then I was like, oh, wow, like my parents have told me kind of the story of how they met, and I was like, oh, that works perfectly. And so I started, um, I brought that idea in mind, like while I was trying to write the song, and I feel like it painted the picture perfectly. And the first time I played it for my parents, my mom was just bawling her eyes out. I think
Oh,
my dad even teared up a little bit. It just hit him in the heart, and so that song definitely has a special place in our hearts.
I love that one. And you don't stop there. You've got two more coming out. I was so glad that those got sent over and I got to listen
Mm.
to Cowboys Don't Say Goodbye and Savannah's Not in Georgia. So what are your plans with those in a timeline for release?
Yeah, I think Cowboys Don't Say Goodbye is going to be the next one putting out. It's probably going to be in May or June, I believe. Um,
Mm.
I don't know if we have a time nailed down yet, but that's definitely the next one. And then Savannah's Not in Georgia is probably going to be July or August. Just space them out at like a couple months apart, essentially. I'm very excited about those. I feel like I'm slow. Well, obviously, like the more you do something, the more like the better you're going to get at it. And I feel like I'm starting to fill out a little bit more as a songwriter and trying to develop a sound kind of thing. And I have more of an
Mhm.
idea of what I want to do. And so I'm very excited about these next few coming out.
That is exciting. So let's talk about a couple of other moments that I caught of you, Mr. Luke Berryhill, is when you got to go in the clubhouse and play Road to the Show for your teammates.
Mm, that was very
Oh,
cool.
I was
Yeah.
crying. It's like, see how I am already. I was like, oh my God. Yes.
Yeah, that was very cool. Yeah, I was it was only a few days into spring training, I think. And it had come out that Road to the Show was coming out, and then one of the coaches came up to me and was like, "Hey, are you putting out a new song?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Hey, like let me listen to it." I played it for him on my phone, and he was like, "Oh man, can you send that to me?" I said, "Sure." And so then later that day, I think, or maybe the next day, Joe Espada, the manager of the big league team, he came up to me and was like, "Hey, uh, Omar sent me your song, and I freaking love it. I can relate to this wholeheartedly. I went through the minor leagues and just it hit me really hard, and I think you should play it for everybody in the locker room tomorrow." And I was like, "Okay, sure." He said, "Okay, bring your guitar. I'll call you up." So the next day, brought my guitar, and everyone loved it. Like, debuting a new song to people, especially one in a room full of people that know about that know exactly what the song's about and know the ins and outs of it, kind of thing. It's always a little nerve-wracking, like hoping you nailed it and that they can really relate. But everyone had nothing but great things to say. Like Alex Bregman put me on his Instagram story. Justin Verlander came up to me afterwards and said he loved it, great job and everything. So that was a very special day. So,
Well, we all enjoyed that. Speaking of special days, I have to bring up that no hitter last night. That was
hmm.
something else.
That was cool. Very cool. Yeah, I've been I was his teammate last year, Blancos,
Uh-huh.
and the first time I saw him throw, I was like, okay, there's something special about this guy. If he could, throw up to his potential every day, like he's going to be an everyday starter in the big leagues. I know it. And then, it's starting to happen for him. And obviously last night, I mean, his greatness showed through. So that was very exciting to see him.
Yeah, it was funny because I was of course prepping for the interview and going over stuff and like I can go down rabbit holes when it comes to music and then comes to baseball stats. And I was like, I had to stop myself because this is about your music. But it's like so I'm watching the game and we're huge. I DVR every game. If I'm not home to watch it, our friends we have a code now. It's where are you watching the game? Because we'll be out fishing sometimes and it's DVR and I don't want to know what happened yet. It's like
Okay.
even during regular season, not just playoffs. And
Right.
so I'm watching the game, and somebody had to send that text. It had the
Oh.
about the I told I said, no, we're not going to speak of that. The phone starts ringing. I said, we're not going to speak of it yet. No, we're not going to talk about that. But it was so cool. We prepping for the interview and listening to your music and then watching that happen. It's just, I love it. And you have got to be such a disciplined person because work ethic, being in baseball and then being disciplined with music. I mean, how do you, I mean, you just have to be you tell me about you and your focus and your drive.
Yeah, I try to split them up the best I can. Whenever I'm in baseball season, I'm fully baseball. And then in the off season, I'm still, working with baseball, but I'm a lot more focused on music as well. Um, that I think that helps me not get burned out, and it
Mhm.
helps me just have my feet in one place at a time. Like if during the season I'm worried about writing songs all the time and all that kind of stuff. Um, my head is not on baseball, which is my job, and what I really need to put my focus in at the time. Like music still, I wouldn't call it a hobby, but it's developed. It's a glorified hobby. Is that a good way to put it?
I
Like
like that.
I'm still serious about it, but baseball pays the bills right now, so I need to have my head here. So I feel like I do a good job of splitting them up, and so whenever I'm into something, I can put my all into that, and that helps a lot for sure. Just having your brain, yeah, have a switch kind of thing. So whenever it's
Mhm.
switched over here, boom. So
I like that.
yeah.
So, and then being in the position of catcher, you have such a responsibility behind the plate.
Mm, very true.
How do you make those decisions, calling those balls, calling what's going to come in?
Yes, I feel like it comes down with preparation and experience. So I've caught thousands of games in my life, and so I have a lot of, I'd say, feel about how the pitcher's throwing, uh, and I can look at the batter and just kind of have a feeling of, okay, this guy, he likes to hit inside pitches, so we're gonna throw him pitches away, or like he looks like he's pulling off the ball, so we're going to throw him some slider, like different stuff like that. And then as soon as I got to pro ball, they started having all this technology and scouting reports that I can look into to really confirm those feelings. And now I have a game plan that I can come up with ahead of time, and just it makes things a lot simpler, and numbers don't lie. And so if a guy has a hard time hitting a certain kind of pitch, we're going to throw that pitch more often and make him prove that he can hit it, and then we'll adjust the game plan from there. All kind of stuff like that. So it's definitely a lot to think about. And you're mentally exhausted after calling a game for sure, just thinking for 3 hours straight. But I love it. I love it wholeheartedly, and I'm very very blessed to be able to do it every night.
Hmm. Well, music is going to be going good. Once again, I want to go back to Road to the Show, and I can't stress the importance to everyone listening that it's out at your favorite Texas country radio station. Let's give Luke Berryhill some support. And the great thing is, you're able to get something out to Texas radio, and the support system that we have in the industry, the radio stations that we have in this industry, and we call it Texas Country Fam. We are a tight family. When we go to awards and events, it's like family reunion time. Like I
Mm.
love going to the Texas Country Music Awards in November at Billy Bob's. I actually have the opportunity. I co-host the red carpet, and Kyle runs the production. It's just like, and we're one big family. You might not see each other for months. So I want you to know you're in good hands.
Okay, hey, that is
So
fantastic.
you go play baseball. You do your baseball, and guess what we're gonna do on the other end of the music? Your Texas country family's got you. God's got you. We got you. I mean, I am just so excited for everyone to hear Road to the Show. So before I let you go, is there anything that we haven't covered? Anything that you want to make sure you get out to our audience?
Yeah, you can check out, all the stuff I got going on at lukeberryhill.com. Um, you can follow me on Instagram, just search up Luke Berryhill. I'm sure you'll find it. Yeah, and go Astros.
Yeah. And if yes, go Astros, go Space Cowboys. And honestly, this is one of those situations with you. It's like if anybody has any questions, contact me directly.
Yes. Yep.
I'm gonna be following those charts, and we'll see what happens with the spin count and what happens next week. That's another thing. I keep stats on all that. Like, it's
Okay.
just this baseball music thing just kind of goes hand in hand. And then now let me ask you this: do you fish?
I do fish on occasion. I'm very, very busy with music and baseball stuff, so I don't get a lot of time to, but when I get a chance, I love it. Yeah.
Okay, that's just me being weird. Okay, so all right, Luke Berryhill, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and we'll be keeping up with all things music and baseball.
Thank you for having me.